wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons, the Transformers. The Transformers.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting edition of Transformers Reviews. Well, today, guys, if you clicked on this video, you know that we are going to be taking a look at one particular part of this combiner, that being Grimlock. Now, I know I'm late to the party because he's been out since last year, but you know what? I finally caved to the pressure and got Grimlock because, well, curiosity had me. So, if we go ahead and look, this is kind of my permeation of his combiner mode. Originally, what the deal was is this combiner mode looks very skinny as far as around the actual part of the torso, but there are a lot of ports on what basically becomes his Dino mode legs or his robot mode arms. There's lots of ports, so by using the third-party feet, I'm able to plug in the combiner feet and the combiner hands, and basically it's helped to kind of bulk up that upper part of his body without it looking so lanky now. Now, one of the other things is you'll notice around here on the lower leg, this is the front of what is his robot mode legs. Now, this is not the standard configuration. The other one has them turned around and everything, and the way that the stock version does it is it doesn't account for the fact that the upper part of Grimlock plus the two combiner arms put so much weight that sometimes it forces the legs to kind of spread out and become squat due to the way that they would have you do the combiner mode legs. So by basically all I did was in his robot mode, his legs are fully extended. I just turned them around and then just plugged in Snarl and Sludge. And not only does it make him taller, but I actually liked the skinnier upper legs. Whenever it was turned sideways and they were a little bit thicker, just something kind of looked off. So I'm pretty pleased with the way that had him leaning a little too far forward there. But while we've got him up here, let's go ahead and we'll take a look at that head sculpt with his like pseudo crown, I guess. I don't know. It's you know what? I don't mind it. Some people may have issues with the head, but I think it's kind of cool. Plus, I like how like I said, the beast mode legs become like this kind of cool like chest design that he's got going on. Now, one of the things you'll notice is I do have the Dinobot Enigma plugged into the hand because, well, you can plug it in up here. I don't know why. I personally don't like it in like with the head sticking out and the Enigma in there. To me, I just don't like how it looks. But that's just a personal preference of mine. You may disagree, and hey, that's totally cool. I just ask you to respect my opinion as I respect yours. So, and then of course I figured let's go ahead and we give him, like a sword, because if he's a Dinobot combiner, a sword just seems appropriate. And then I was like, why not just give him a second one? It's not as big, but I really do like engineering. Like, okay, aesthetically wise, the combiner mode is awesome. I mean, there's no denying it. It's awesome to see all the Dinobots finally combined. There are some engineering issues, but like I said, if you kind of mess around with it, and like to me, I think this kind of helps. What's the word I'm looking for? Basically, just kind of helps shore up the actual engineering that was there just by making a few small tweaks. So anyway, Volcanicus at Grimlock in his combiner mode. I love it. It's awesome. Other than that, guys, there's really nothing else I can say about it, so let's go ahead and take this guy and look at him in beast mode. So here we go, everybody, and Grimlock is in his beast mode. And I just want to go ahead and reiterate to everybody that, obviously with the things I'm going to say about his beast mode, it's okay if you don't agree with me. I'm just going to ask, again, politely, that you please respect my opinion as I would respect yours. And with that being said, I'll say that there's a lot of stuff on his beast mode that I think is actually it's a halfway success. There's just a few aesthetic nitpicks that I have with this figure. The first thing is something that I've grown more accustomed to the more I've looked at it. But whenever I first saw it, his legs, it was very jarring for me because of how super wide his legs are. And as far as the legs go, one of the last things I want to mention about them is that I get why they're so far apart. That being that this does become his torso in robot mode. So I get from an engineering standpoint why it is that way. So that's, you know, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it, but like I said, the legs have to a degree grown on me. So one of the other things is when you look at this Grimlock, I know that some other people have mentioned this before, and it has to do with his beast mode arms, being that they are not only static, but due to the fact that a lot of people wish they were a little bit bigger. The other thing that I have an issue with is the legs. I like to use this Grimlock as a reference because there's a lot of stuff on this that I believe is superior as far as, like, you look at the feet, you know how big, and I mean they work with the scale of this guy. And when you look at the Power of the Primes, they're not really feet, they're just kind of like nubs. And I'm like, oh man. And you know, I get why that is, especially for robot mode later. But again, and then of course having the combiner port in the back of the leg, I just personally think it leaves a little bit to be desired. With the feet not, you know, just kind of being, like I said, just they kind of look like little tiny nubs to me instead of actual feet. One of the things that you can do is if you flip out his robot mode fists, and as you can see, if you actually put the fist down into the Prime Master slot on the combiner feet, I believe that the combiner feet are so big, it helps bring the legs back into proportion with the rest of his body. You can actually make these feet, you can actually wedge the robot mode hands into that Prime Master slot and make them stick. Now, see that one actually stuck like that. I didn't do it for this one over here. It's the beast mode tail. And I know that it's been a point of concern for many fans, but whenever I actually got him in hand and actually converted him to beast mode for the first time, the tail was not as big as I thought it would be, and actually having it in hand now, it's not so bad. Matter of fact, if you look at the FOC Grimlock, he has a similar width and similar depth for the tails. Now FOC's is a little bit longer. So that's one thing that I was really pleasantly surprised about. Now another thing that I know has been really kind of a sore spot for some fans is all this mechanical detailing on the back. It does, with all of the mechanical parts showing, it kind of reminds me of how some of the Bayformers look. And it's kind of funny to see that on a figure that's G1 because obviously that doesn't match up with the rest of his motif that he's got going on here. But you know what, it's kind of weird, but I kind of like it. Plus the fact that on the Masterpiece, he had these kind of like pseudo jet boosters on his back, so to see it here on the Power of the Primes figure is something I really like. Now from his torso up, and you know, from some stuff down also, I really like what they're going for because it really evokes the G1 toy of Grimlock, and even though I never had it, I just like that kind of vibe that I'm getting from it, especially with the stickers right in this go around. They're excellent on this figure. And so as far as beast mode goes, that's really all I kind of have to say about it. Let's go ahead and, you saw him just real briefly. Here he is with the FOC Grimlock. Kind of see how they look together. Kind of a before and after. And so here's Grimlock with the other Dinobots. And I gotta say, I really like how all 5 of them look together. Matter of fact, I have them pretty much displayed on my shelf, kind of like this. And yeah, I'm really happy to have the Dinobots all together. So, alright, well, let's go ahead and look at the last mode we're going to look at on Grimlock and see what this guy looks like in his robot mode. Well, let me tell you something, guys. If they were going to nail one of Grimlock's modes and get it right, robot mode was a very good choice. Now, I'm going to say this real quickly, that he does not come with this sword. That is actually from another Grimlock. That's kind of one of the things that before we kind of start looking at him all together, he's perfect. The only thing I wish he came with was actual weapons. Now, you know, they do try to say that you can use the combiner feet. I guess like they could be like claw weapons on his arms or whatever. And I mean, that would be cool. That's just personally not my cup of tea. I'd much rather have him have a sword. But other than that, I mean, everything. You look at like the legs, the stickers, like we mentioned with the other ones in beast mode, these work excellent in his robot mode. I mean, just look at the overall detail on this guy. I mean, as far as Grimlock goes, I mean, sure, you can see tiny bits here and there, but for the, I mean, but even with that stuff, it still nails every point you need for a G1 Grimlock in his robot mode. That is an awesome, just right on head sculpt. And even the gold that they use for this, being under that plastic, you know, even with these notches cut out, I love the way his chest looks, especially with that Autobot logo right there. Basically, if you were looking for a recommendation, just keep in mind that the engineering in some of his modes is not as perfect as it could be, but it's not to the point where it's so terrible where I wouldn't recommend Grimlock. This has been the review of Transformers Power of the Primes Voyager class Grimlock. And until next time, guys, we'll see you in another review.